Hi guys, welcome to Fierce and Pretty. Honey here. Today we are starting the 52 readings project, and this video is gonna be the number 1. So 1 out of 52. Let's get on with it. So let's crank this series on its way. This is the reading number 1 out of 52 in the Fountain Tarot Journal for the year 21. So to better get on with my tarot journaling, I decided to use the Fountain Tarot Journal. My first exercise was the card of the year, which I made a little video about the Hermit card. But the first real reading in this journal was a 3-card reading for the week 1. Actually, this prompt didn't give you any placings for the cards, so no directions on the card meanings on what they should be. And for my first question for this year was to get like a guideline or a mantra or something for the year 2021 that would help me in all the challenges that would come up during this year. So to create myself an empowering mantra for the troubled times that I could use over and over and over. And it was a 3-card reading, and what I got in this reading were the 8 of Swords. And what I love about the Fountain Tarot are the images. They are so different, but they speak so loudly to me. And this 8 of Swords is beautiful. The darkness, all the swords pressing on her throat chakra with the dark eyes and that very submissive position that she has there. And my first initial thoughts were on this, like the anxiety and the external pressures, or like this, like somebody's choking you from the throat. Those type of feelings were the initials that came from me. And the second card was the 5 of Cups, which is also insanely beautiful in this deck. Some people say that this deck is cold, but to me, this is exactly the opposite. This is really powerful deck, in my opinion. And from this, the initial hits were like loss and grief and disappointments, but not to forget the cups that are still upright, that haven't spilled all out. And to look how this guy is facing to the 8 of Swords, and also the cups that are spilled are on that side, but the cups that still have their content in them are behind his back. And to me, that was a perfect positioning here. Then what about the next card? And there we got the Sun and the Major Arcana. And when I initially did this reading, to me this was such a powerful sequence when the question was to give me a mantra to the problems and issues and to the harder times and days and situations that would definitely be in my life in this year. So that was the thing. And what we immediately see here is the visual, path that is going from darkness into light. That's just as clear as day there. But here we have, if we think about the Kabbalah, the Hod, the Sephiroth, the 8 Sephiroth of intellect, and then we have Geburah, the fifth Sephiroth of like breaking down and disruption. And then we have the path of understanding between Hod and Yesod, between the eighth Sephiroth and the ninth. And as I said in the intro video, that I'm trying to also really implement in practice what I've learned about, for example, Kabbalah and the other correspondence systems. And I'm going to be referring to different sources during these videos. And today we are referring to the Kabbalistic Tarot book by Robert Wang. Mine is just a printed out version. And if we look at this reading unfolding in the Tree of Life, we have the Five of Cups that go to the fifth Sephiroth of Geburah here. The masked energy, the disruptive, negative energy there. Then we have the Eight of Swords in Hod here, a mercurial energy in the eighth Sephiroth. And then the path of the sun between Hod and Yesod here, the path of sun, the light. And I find it so interesting that it's between the Sephiroth of Yesod that is assigned to moon, to more intuition, and Mercury to intellect and those sorts of things, and how the sun is like balancing there between them, the internal and the external knowing. But in this reading, my goal was to create the mantra, and the journal gives good breakdowns how to break down these cards, and one of them is patterns and themes. And in this one, to me, it was clearly from the darkness into the light. And then in the summary part, I started to really write it all out. And what I got out in my journal was like, when you get anxious and scared, and when I feel stuck, and when I only see the bad sides of things, and all that is lost, to turn around, because on the other side of darkness there is always light. And that kind of came from this connection here, because he's having his back turned on the sun, and he's only staring into the darkness, into that throat pinching darkness in that pit. I wrote down that it's all about the perspective. Like in this world, everything has its opposite. Like above, so below. There cannot be light if there is not darkness. And there is nothing that is only darkness. There is always light somewhere. So then what I like about this journal is that it has this action steps part. And for this reading, I wrote myself an action from this sequence. So when I would be, or when I will be in a stressful situation, or a moment where I'm feeling anxious and stressed out, to stop, to feel my throat chakra and my heart chakra. Try to identify the reason of the darkness. Then actually, physically turn around and try to find the light in this situation. So that's just something for me that I could physically do in a situation, no matter where I am. Just physically turn around and try to see what's behind it. What is the other side? If that would help me in this year to handle stressful situations. And the mantra that I want to keep on holding this whole year after this reading is that on the other side of darkness, there is always light. And I try to focus on that in each situation that I might face. Because this is an exercise that I can do no matter where I am. If I am at home, if I am at work, stop, turn around and find a light. So to remember that on the other side of darkness, there is always light. And what I love about this journal is that at the end of every reading, there is a quote. And for this first reading, the quote was by Rumi. And it says, "Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it." And I never read these quotes before I do the reading. I always read them at the end and see what I can get out of them after the reading. And from this one, I think that the internal barriers within myself are key here in this quote for this reading. The barriers here, to break them, to turn around and see the light. But this was my first reading from the 52 readings of this year. And the question was to have a guideline or a mantra for this year that would help me in challenging situations. So that was all from this time. Until next time. Bye guys.